The shove comes hard and fast, right in the chest, strong enough to knock the air out of him and send his thin body stumbling backward into the rain. Water splashes up around his torn shoes as the security guard leans forward, face tight with disgust. "Move along," the guard snaps, voice sharp as the wind cutting through the street. "We don't want your kind here." The words land heavier than the shove. They echo. They stick. The man doesn't argue. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't even look angry. He just steadies himself, fingers shaking as he pulls his coat tighter around his body. The coat is old. Too big. It smells like damp concrete and long nights with nowhere to go. His shoes are cracked at the soles, soaked through, offering no protection from the cold puddles gathering beneath him. Rain runs down his face, mixing with something else that looks a lot like shame. Behind the guard, the mall doors gleam under bright lights. Glass walls reflect a different world. Warmth, laughter, the soft hum of money moving freely. Inside, people glide past with shopping bags and clean hands, their shoes dry, their coats heavy with comfort. A woman pauses just long enough to clutch, her purse tighter to her chest before turning away. A businessman wrinkles his nose, annoyed at the delay, as if poverty itself is an inconvenience. A couple whispers and laughs, careful not to be heard, careful not to look too long. No one steps. No one speaks up. Silence spreads faster than the rain. And in that silence, judgment takes root. Do them. He is nothing special. Just another poor man who wandered too close to places he doesn't belong. Another problem to be pushed out of sight, so the glass can stay clean. What they don't know is that this man owns buildings taller than this mall. Companies worth more than the clothes inside it. What they don't know is that he signs checks so large they change lives without ever touching the lives themselves. He is a billionaire, one of the richest men in the city. And tonight, for the first time in his life, he chose to walk without protection, without status, without his name. He wanted truth, not numbers on a page. Not reports polished by assistants who never miss a meal. He wanted to feel the city the way the invisible feel. He wanted to know what happens when money is stripped away and all that's left is a human being asking for space. The guard steps closer again, ready to shove him a second time. The man lowers his eyes, not in fear, not in anger, but in something deeper. Exhaustion, the kind that comes from carrying weight no one can see. The kind that settles into your bones and tells you this world is not built for you. Across the street, under a flickering streetlight, a small food cart rattles in the wind. Steam rises weakly from a dented pot. A single mother sits on a plastic stool, her shoulders curved forward, hands wrapped around a bowl of soup to keep them warm. Beside her, her young daughter swings her legs back and forth, feet not quite touching the ground. They share the bowl, passing it between them, slow and careful, making it last. They see everything. They see the shove. They hear the words. They notice the way the man doesn't fight back, the way his shoulders drop, like he's learned this lesson before. The girl's eyes stay fixed on him, wide and quiet. She doesn't look away like the others. She watches the rain soak through his clothes. She watches his hands tremble. She tugs gently on her mother's sleeve. "Mom," she whispers, her voice small, but steady. He looks hungry. The mother follows her daughter's gaze. She sees the man standing there, alone, soaked, pushed back like he doesn't belong anywhere. She feels a familiar ache in her chest. Recognition. She knows that look. She has worn it herself. The look of someone counting breaths instead of blessings. Someone deciding which pain hurts less. Her eyes drop to the bowl in her hands. The soup is thin, but it's warm. It's dinner, maybe breakfast too. If they stretch it, her stomach tightens as she does the math she does every day. Rent, bills, tomorrow always, tomorrow. The guard turns away. Satisfied, already forgetting the man he just humiliated. The crowd moves again, relieved the discomfort is over. The mall doors slide open and shut, sealing warmth inside. The mother hesitates. Just for a second. Then she stands. Her chair scrapes softly against the wet pavement. It's a small sound. No one notices. No one claps. No one stops to watch. She lifts the bowl with both hands and steps forward. Her daughter hopping down to follow her, careful not to spill a drop. The man doesn't see her at first. He's staring at the ground, rain dripping from his hair, counting the cracks in the sidewalk like they might tell him where to go next. Then a shadow appears in front of him. He looks up. The mother holds out the bowl. Her hand shakes slightly, not from fear, but from cold. "You can have this," she says simply. No speech, no pity, just an offer. The man blinks. Once, twice. He looks at the bowl, then at the little girl standing beside her mother, chin lifted, eyes serious. He opens his mouth to speak, but nothing comes out. For a moment, the noise of the city fades. The rain softens, the lights blurred. No one has offered him anything all night. Not food, not a word, Not even eye contact. I can't, he finally manages, voice rough. You need it? The mother shakes her head. We'll be okay, she says. She doesn't explain how. She doesn't promise something she can't control. She just believes it enough to act. The girl smiles at him, small and bright, like a light flicking on in a dark room. My mom makes the best soup, she says proudly. He takes the bowl, his fingers, brush the mother's as he does, and the contact sends a strange shock through him. Not electricity. Something warmer. Something human. He lowers himself onto the empty stool, rain still falling, and lifts the spoon to his lips. The soup is simple, thin, but it's the best thing he's tasted in years. Not because of the flavor, because someone saw him as he eats. He feels something loosen inside his chest. A knot he didn't know was there. For decades, he's been surrounded by people who wanted something from him. His time, his money, his approval. But here, in the rain, stripped of his name and power, someone gave him something with no expectation at all. The crowd keeps moving. Cars splash past. Life goes on, but for the man sitting on that stool, holding a shared bowl of soup, something has already shifted. He doesn't know how yet. He doesn't know what it will cost or what it will change. He only knows that for the first time in a very long time, he doesn't feel invisible. And somewhere, deep inside, a question begins to form. One that won't let him go. If this is how the world treats people with nothing, what does it say about everything he owns? They don't ask his name. They don't ask where he's from or how he ended up soaked and shaking in front of a place that never wanted him there. They just pull a plastic stool closer and make room like it's the most natural thing in the world. The mother nudges the bowl toward him again, pushing half of what little they have across the small space between them. Her smile is tired but steady, the kind that's learned how to survive without hope but still chooses kindness anyway. Eat, she says softly, like a promise. You need it more than we do. His hands shake as he lifts the spoon, not the kind of shaking that comes from hunger alone, but something deeper, something unfamiliar. He's sat at tables where meals cost more than this woman makes in a week. He's signed papers, funding shelters, feeding programs, glossy campaigns. With smiling faces and clean edges, he's written checks with a pen that never trembled once. But no report ever prepared him for this moment. No board meeting ever explained what it feels like to be offered the last bite by someone who has nothing left to give. He takes a sip. The soup is thin, barely seasoned, but it warms his throat all the way down. It tastes like effort. Like care. Like sacrifice. He lowers the spoon and looks up. Really looks at them now. The mother's hands are rough. Nails chipped, skin dry from work and weather. The little girl's jacket is too small at the sleeves, cuffs stretched thin. Yet they sit there with him like he belongs, like this is normal, like sharing is not a risk, but a rule. They talk in pieces at first, small things. The rain, the cold, the way business slows when the weather turns. Then, slowly, the truth spills out. Not dramatic, not loud, just honest. The mother works mornings, cleaning offices, downtown, nights serving food wherever she can get hours. 2 jobs. Sometimes 3. She laughs, once, short and tired, when she says she's always working but never catching up. Rent is overdue again. The landlord stopped answering her calls weeks ago. She knows what that means. The girl listens quietly, swinging her legs, then jumps in with her own dream like it's something precious she's guarding. She wants to be a doctor. Not because it sounds big, but because she hates seeing people hurt. She says it like it's already decided, like the world will have to catch up to her somehow. The man feels a weight pressing against his chest. He's met people like this before, but always across desks, always from a distance, always with his name known. Power shifts conversations. It changes what people say. Here, stripped of it, he hears the truth, raw and unfiltered. He hears how rich customers pass by this cart every day without a glance. How some leave food untouched inside warm restaurants while others count coins outside. How dignity becomes something you have to fight for when money decides who matters. A shadow falls across them. The shop owner from next door storms over. Face red, jaw tight, eyes burning with anger that has nothing to do with them and everything to do with control. What is this? He snaps, waving a hand toward the man. You're scaring my customers. His voice rises so others can hear, so he can feel important. Get him away from here. The words hit hard. Heads turn. People slow down just enough to watch, just enough to judge. The man freezes, spoon halfway to his mouth. He knows this moment. He's lived it for 24 hours now. The moment where silence decides sides. Before he can stand, before he can apologize for existing, the mother moves. She steps in front of him without thinking, shoulders squared, chin lifted. He's with us, she says. Her voice doesn't shake. It surprises even her. The shop owner laughs, loud and sharp. With you, he looks her up and down like she's something stuck to the bottom of his shoe. You can barely feed yourselves. The words land where they're meant to. The girl's hand tightens around her mother's fingers, knuckles turning white. The mother swallows, eyes flicking down for just a second before she forces herself to look back up. Pride hurts when you're poor. It costs something. The man watches it all, every detail burned into his mind. The way cruelty hides behind rules. The way kindness gets treated like a problem. The way poverty is spoken about like a personal failure. Instead of a system that feeds on silence, the shop owner doesn't wait for a response. He pulls out his phone, already dialing. "I'm calling security," he says, like a threat and a promise. "I've had enough of this." The man's stomach tightens. He feels anger rise, hot and unfamiliar in this form. Not the clean anger of lawsuits and power plays, but something raw. He wants to stand up and say something. He wants to end it with a sentence, a name, a reveal. He wants to remind them who he is, but he doesn't. He stays seated. He stays silent. He watches security, arrives quickly. Different guards this time. Younger, louder. They don't ask questions either. They never do. They see 3 people sitting where they shouldn't be, taking up space they didn't pay for. "You need to move," one says, hand already resting. Bonnie's belt. "All of you." The mother stands again, pulling her daughter close. "We're not bothering anyone," she says. "We're just sitting. You can sit somewhere else." The guard snaps. "This isn't allowed." The man reaches slowly, rain dripping from his coat again. He looks at the mother, at the girl, and something inside him breaks open. This is his city, his buildings, his policies, his name on plaques and walls. And yet here, the people who show the most humanity are the ones treated like they don't belong. They're pushed away together, forced down the sidewalk, past the bright lights and clean glass. No one stops them. No one questions it. The crowd parts and then closes again, like water swallowing stones. As they walk, the mother apologizes under her breath, like she's done something wrong. "I'm sorry," she says to the man. "I didn't mean to cause trouble." He looks at her, rain in his eyes now for a different reason. Trouble, he realizes, is just what kindness looks like in a cruel world. They reach the corner where the street grows darker, where the light doesn't reach as far. The girl looks back once at them all, then up at him. "I hope you're okay," she says. He nods, unable to speak. As they turn away, he stands there alone again, rain soaking through him, heart heavier than before. Not because of the cold, because of the truth settling deep in his bones. This world he built doesn't reward goodness, it punishes it. It praises cruelty dressed up as order and calls compassion a disturbance. And the people with the least are always the ones expected to give the most. He watches the mother and daughter disappear into the shadows, carrying less than they started with but still holding each other. And for the first time, he feels something, close to fear. Not fear of losing money or power. Fear of what it means if he does nothing now. The rain keeps falling. The city keeps moving. But inside him, a storm is just beginning.
The next morning, the city wakes up like something broke overnight. Sirens echo where there are usually horns. Streets are blocked. People stop scrolling and start staring. Outside the same glass mall where the rain fell the night before, news cameras crowd the sidewalk, lenses pointed like weapons, hungry for a story they don't yet understand. Black SUVs line the curb. Luxury cars idle with engines purring low. Men in tailored suits whisper into phones, their confidence thinner than their smiles. The guards stand at the entrance, stiff and alert, eyes darting. They sense it before they see it. Something is wrong. Then a car door opens. The man steps out slowly, clean-shaven now, hair neat, posture straight. He wears a sharp black suit that fits like it was made for him, because it was. No torn coat. No cracked shoes. Just quiet authority. The kind that doesn't need to shout. The kind that fills space without trying. The guards freeze. Recognition hits them all at once, like cold water to the face. One swallows hard. Another takes a step back without meaning to. The confidence they had last night evaporates in seconds. The shop owner, standing nearby with crossed arms and a smug look, turns at the sound of cameras clicking. His face drains of color. Blood leaves his cheeks. His mouth opens, then closes. He knows. Everyone knows. A voice carries over the crowd, calm and official, amplified through speakers mounted above the entrance. The name is announced clearly. Slowly. No rush. One of the most powerful men in the country. The owner of the mall. The billionaire whose companies shape this city's skyline and this city's rules. Gasps ripple through the crowd like wind through tall grass. People cover their mouths. Phones rise into the air. Someone whispers, "That's him," like they've seen a ghost. A massive screen flickers to life above the glass doors. Footage begins to play. Grainy at first. Rain streaking the lens. Then clearer. The shove. The guard's hand against a thin chest. The words, "We don't want your kind here." The man stumbling back. The silence. The way people looked away. The soup. The small plastic stool. The mother stepping forward. The little girl offering her seat. The shop owner yelling. Security pushing them out. Every moment plays out without sound at first. No music. No voice. Just images. The crowd doesn't breathe. Then the sound comes in. The insults are louder than people remember. The shove harder. The kindness quieter. More powerful. You can hear the rain. You can hear the girl's voice, soft and clear, asking if he's hungry. You can hear the mother say, "Eat," like it's the most important word in the world. Some people cry. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Tears just fall. Others stare at the ground, faces tight, ashamed. A few cross their arms, defensive, uncomfortable with mirrors they didn't ask for. The billionaire steps forward. The screen goes dark. He waits. He lets the silence stretch. He lets it sit heavy in the air, pressing against chests, forcing people to feel something they usually pay to avoid. When he speaks, his voice is calm. Even. There's no anger in it. That's what makes it hit harder. "Last night," he says, "I learned who we are." He pauses. Looks around. Makes eye contact with people who can't hold it. And who we pretend to be. A murmur moves through the crowd. He lifts a hand, and it dies instantly. "I walked these streets without my name," he continues. "Without my money. Without protection. And I saw what happens when a human being is reduced to a problem." His eyes shift toward the guards. They stiffen. "I saw how easy it is to follow orders when no one thinks you matter." He turns slightly, pointing not with his finger, but with his gaze. "Those guards," he says plainly, "are no longer employed here." A sharp intake of breath. One of the guards opens his mouth, then closes it. There's nothing to say. Accountability doesn't care about excuses. The billionaire doesn't stop. "And that shop owner," he adds, his voice still level, "who decided that dignity is bad for business." He looks straight at the man, whose knees look ready to buckle. "You're done here." Effective immediately. The shop owner shakes his head, stammering, trying to speak, but the words won't come. Power has a way of disappearing fast when it's built on cruelty. "I am ordering a full investigation," the billionaire continues, "into how people are treated on my properties. Especially those with the least." He pauses again. "Especially when no one thinks I'm watching." Then he turns. Two staff members gently guide the mother and her daughter forward. They look small in the open space, overwhelmed by the cameras, the crowd, the noise. The mother's hands shake. She keeps one arm wrapped tightly around her daughter's shoulders like a shield. The girl's eyes are wide, but she doesn't hide. She looks at him the way she did last night. Direct. Curious. Unafraid. The billionaire steps closer. Then, slowly, deliberately, he kneels in front of the little girl. The crowd gasps again. This time, softer. He's eye level with her now. No stage. No height. Just two people sharing space. "You don't know me," he says gently. "But you did something last night that changed me." The girl swallows. Nods once. "You reminded me," he continues, voice thickening just enough to show he's human, "what being human looks like." The mother's breath catches. Tears spill over now, unstoppable. She shakes her head, whispering that she didn't mean to cause trouble, that she was just trying to help. He stands and turns to her. "You didn't cause trouble," he says firmly. "You showed truth." He straightens, facing the crowd again. Cameras flash. But he doesn't look at them. He looks at the people. "Power doesn't mean anything," he says, "if it can't stand next to kindness. Wealth is empty if it can't protect dignity." No one speaks. Even the city seems to pause. In that moment, something shifts. Not because a billionaire fired people. Not because money changed hands. But because the truth stood in daylight and refused to move. He stands taller than ever before. Not because of his suit. Not because of his name. But because he finally understands what it costs to carry power, and what it costs even more to ignore it. The mother pulls her daughter close. The girl looks up at him one last time and smiles, the same small smile from the rain. The cameras keep rolling. The crowd begins to buzz again, louder now, unsure what to do with what they've just seen. And as the billionaire steps back, as the city exhales, one question hangs heavy in the air, unanswered and impossible to ignore. If one night of truth can expose so much, what will happen when the real changes begin? The changes come fast. Faster than anyone expects. By the time the cameras are packed up and the crowd drifts away, the system that once moved slowly suddenly has no excuse to wait. Phone calls are made before noon. Papers are signed before nightfall. And for the first time in a long time, power doesn't hesitate when it's pointed in the right direction. The mother doesn't hear the news from television or social media. She hears it from a quiet knock on her door. A real door. Solid. Clean. Not the kind that sticks in the frame or rattles when the wind blows. She opens it carefully, still learning what it feels like to live somewhere that doesn't threaten to disappear at the end of the month. A woman stands there with a folder and a warm smile, speaking gently, clearly, like every word matters. Stable work. A real schedule. Benefits. Healthcare. Not a favor. Not a donation. A job that respects her time and her effort. A home that stays hers as long as she needs it. No hidden rules. No silent countdown. The mother listens, nodding slowly, hands pressed together to keep them from shaking. She doesn't cry right away. She's learned not to. Life taught her that hope can be dangerous. But when she hears the words again, when she realizes this isn't something that can be taken back tomorrow, her shoulders finally drop. Just a little. Enough to breathe. Her daughter hears her name next. A full scholarship. Books. Tuition. Support. Every door that once felt locked now standing open. Her dream no longer something fragile she has to protect from the world. It's protected by the world itself now. The girl smiles wide, eyes shining, already imagining a future where she helps people the way she once helped a stranger in the rain. The billionaire doesn't attend the meeting. He doesn't need to. This part isn't about being seen. It's about making sure the right people are. And he doesn't stop there. Behind glass doors and long conference tables, his empire begins to shift. Policies rewritten. Contracts reviewed. Rules that once protected profit at any cost replaced with something unfamiliar. Human-first decisions. Mandatory empathy training that doesn't come from a slideshow, but from real stories, real voices, real lives. Executives are required to walk properties without titles. To listen without interrupting. To sit where they're uncomfortable and stay there long enough to understand why. Wages change. Not by $1 or $2. But enough to matter. Enough to let people live without counting every breath. Enough to turn survival into stability. People notice. Employees who once kept their heads down start standing straighter. Security guards learn that authority is a responsibility, not a weapon. Managers learn that kindness doesn't weaken control. It strengthens trust. Some push back. They always do. They call it unrealistic. Too soft. Bad for business. The billionaire listens. Then he reminds them that business built on broken backs always collapses eventually. He's not interested in building something that only looks strong from the outside. Late one evening, long after the noise dies down, he visits the mother again. No press. No assistants hovering nearby. Just him, standing in her doorway, hands folded in front of him like a man asking permission instead of granting it. They sit at a small table in her kitchen. The light is warm. The room smells like food cooked slowly, without fear of wasting it. The daughter is in the next room, reading, humming softly to herself. The sound feels like peace. I thought money made me powerful, he says after a long pause. His voice is quieter here. Less polished. But it made me blind. The mother looks at him for a moment before responding. She doesn't rush. She's learned the value of silence. Money can do a lot, she says gently. But it can't teach you how to see. He nods, swallowing hard. And kindness, she adds, almost as an afterthought, doesn't need permission. The words land deep. He thanks her. Not the way people say it out of habit, but the way someone thanks another person for saving them from becoming someone they don't want to be. Years pass. The city changes in small ways first, then bigger ones. Stories spread. Not just about a billionaire who went undercover, but about policies that stuck. About systems that didn't snap back once the headlines faded. His name becomes associated less with towers and more with standards. Less with ownership and more with accountability. When he dies, the obituaries struggle to fit his life into numbers. Net worth feels too small. Square footage too empty. People talk instead about the way he changed how power is used. How he proved that responsibility isn't a burden if you carry it right. And somewhere across town, a woman in a white coat finishes her shift at a crowded hospital. She moves quickly, confidently, touching shoulders, meeting eyes, listening in a way that makes people feel safe. She still remembers the rain, the soup, the man who needed to be seen. She never forgets where she came from. And because of that, she never forgets anyone. The story doesn't end with applause. It ends with quiet. With choices made differently. With people seen when it would be easier to look away. Because true wealth isn't measured by what you can buy. It's measured by who you choose to see when you have the power not to.